This is CBC Here and Now.
The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary has a new chief of police.
Policing today is very, very different than when I started in 1985. The type of calls for service that we respond to, the dangers involved with frontline police work and police work in general.
I'm Jeremy Eaton, and that story coming up.
Well, he played one of the most recognizable characters in St. John's.
The man behind Buddy the Puffin has died.
Tonight, friends remember Chris Abbott and the impact he had on the community.
Another pretty quiet day tomorrow. Things start to get unsettled towards the end of the week.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Peter Cowan. We begin tonight with a COVID update. There are more people in hospital tonight because of COVID-19 and more in intensive care. There are now 25 people in hospital because of COVID-19. That's the most we've had during this pandemic. 11 of those are in critical care. The province announced 179 new known confirmed cases since the update yesterday, but there were recoveries as well, so the active caseload remains at around 2,000. Well, a 10-person unit at Her Majesty's Penitentiary is on lockdown after 3 inmates tested positive for COVID-19. The Justice Department says outside visitation and programming has been temporarily suspended. Here and Now has also learned of a positive case inside the Labrador Correctional Centre. That happened sometime in January, and the inmate has since recovered. The department says these are the first positive cases inside a provincial correctional centre since the pandemic began.
The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary has a new chief. Patrick Roach is a 36-year veteran of the provincial police force. He's stepping into the top job amid a number of growing controversies, including a workplace review and sexual assault allegations against on-duty officers. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton reports.
On a sunny Tuesday morning, it became official when the Minister of Justice named the 23rd chief of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary.
That Chief Patrick Roach is now the official, no more interim tag, Chief of Police of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary.
Roach has nearly 37 years in with the RNC and is himself the son of a former chief. Still, he says the job is ever-changing.
Crime rate, always evolving. Technical crimes are difficult. Mental health in our community, the stressors that go along with that, and when we're interacting with people, we need to have training for our membership in how to recognize and interact with persons who are suffering from mental health illness.
Roach intends to make the mental health and well-being of officers a top priority as well.
Policing today is very, very different than when I started in 1985. The type of calls for service that we respond to, the dangers involved with frontline police work and police work in general is incredible.
The RNC has faced a number of challenges in the past few years, most notably the long-standing court cases of convicted sex offender Doug Snellgrove. Then late last year, it was learned that 4 other officers are being investigated for sexual assault.
I take allegations of sexual misconduct very seriously. I worked in the area of child sexual abuse and physical assaults and adult sexual assaults back in the 90s up into the 2000s. I know how serious and how much damage those incidents can cause a person.
The RNC is also undergoing a workplace review which launched back in October. That investigation is ongoing and being led by Harriet Lewis in Ontario.
She's working through it. The update we got was in terms of where she is in terms of her interviews and her assessments to date. She's hoping to actually come here to do some face-to-face interviews.
Now, Roach says he's turning his focus to police work across the province. He hopes to work on relationships within the community and share his decades of experience to help his members.
Most of my career was in the Criminal Investigation Division, dealing with some pretty horrible crimes over the years. And being able to bring some peace to families who are suffering through those things is an honor. So that is what I am proud of and what I look forward to supporting our members for doing that now.
But he remains tight-lipped on how long he'll be the chief.
So thank you, Minister. Thank you to the membership. I look forward to working for the next while with you. I won't commit on any time frame. Thank you.
Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Another pretty perfect day out there, another pretty perfect winter day out there, in fact. Let's take a look at what's going on. Ridge of high pressure starting to move in across the province, and that is keeping things fairly quiet through the day. We do have an area of low pressure though just to the west, and that's going to move in as we head through the day tomorrow. Going to bring some unsettled conditions up across Labrador, but your temperatures are also going to significantly warm up as we head through tomorrow up across the Big Land. Now, as far as what's going on today, we do have some pretty breezy conditions out there. Those top wind gusts anywhere from 40 to as much as 59 in Twillingate, and we are currently seeing those winds gusting somewhere between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour. Winds not really going to be the story for parts of the province. Others may see a little bit of a breezy day tomorrow. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
The minimum wage in Newfoundland and Labrador is going up. The 45-cent increase will come into effect on April 1st. That brings the minimum wage to $13.20 per hour, with the overtime wage rate going to $19.80. The province says the increase is required under labor standards regulations and is based on the percentage change in the National Consumer Price Index. Well, the province says it will announce changes to the COVID alert level on Thursday, and that will come into effect next week. For some business owners, change can't happen soon enough.
Tough. It's been tougher this time.
The owners of this bed and breakfast in St. John's say the lockdown has been harder than some of the others on their business. They've had their bookings canceled as the Omicron wave took hold, partly because of the travel restrictions and because fewer people are traveling. They've also closed their tea room because they say customers are not comfortable visiting a smaller place during the Omicron wave.
We've had zero income since December. And every Monday we're with bated breath hoping that we're going to see a lift on restrictions so that we can reopen, and it hasn't happened yet. So this one's been tougher. We did have some bookings for the inn, but they were from out of province, so we had those cancel. Being so close to Mon, it's been a bonus for us that we've been able to host parents that are bringing their students in January, but obviously that didn't happen this year. We actually had some families that were coming home, year for seeing their family after Christmas, and had that canceled as well.
Well, the owners hope some of the alert level changes for next week will allow business to pick up for them. Waylon Pertil says they have some bookings already for Valentine's Day weekend and hope they aren't canceled.
Well, the province's Auditor General is flagging a problem. She says the financial statements at the Office of the High Sheriff haven't been audited for 4 years. The office holds money in trust to be distributed in accordance with various court orders, but auditors haven't been given the documents needed to complete their work.
The issue is the risk of undetected errors. There's a lot of transactions that would occur with the Judgment Enforcement Registry, and so it's important to know that everything is fine. And sometimes you need to call that out in order to get something done.
Now, neither the High Sheriff nor the Department of Justice replied to our messages seeking comment.
The RCMP have arrested a teenager on several counts of arson. They believe the 18-year-old is responsible for suspicious fires in Glovertown, Eastport, and Sandy Cove between August of 2020 and last summer. The Glovertown detachment says it has evidence to lay charges for a vehicle fire in Glovertown and 2 brush fires in Eastport. The teen was released from police custody on a number of conditions. Well, in national news, federal Conservative Party leader Aaron O'Toole is fighting for his political future after members of his own caucus triggered a leadership vote tomorrow.
I'm happy we're having this vote because I think we have to resolve this once and for all. Either Aaron's the leader and everybody gets behind him, or he's not, we need to move on.
A third of Conservative MPs signed a letter calling for a leadership review. That's enough to hold a secret ballot vote tomorrow about whether he keeps his job or not. If a majority of MPs go against him, it would force O'Toole to step down and make way for an interim party leader. Some longtime supporters have accused the leader of flip-flopping on party policy on several occasions, and the party has faced internal divisions after the last federal election loss under O'Toole's leadership. In a statement released yesterday, O'Toole said he's not going anywhere.
Well, one of Newfoundland's oldest residents has died of COVID-19. Pearl Crew of Lewisport passed away last week, just 1 month shy of her 101st birthday.
Yeah, now you may recall we did a story on Ms. Crew just last year, and we joined her virtually for her 100th birthday bash.
Happy big birthday from all of us. Oh my. All of the residents' names.
I'll have something to do tomorrow.
What's the secret to living a good life after 100 years?
I'll let you know next year. It's lovely, isn't it? I wish you could be here.
Pearl Crew caught the virus in the personal care home where she lived. Her family was not allowed to be with her in hospital until she was deemed to be palliative.
Her son James Crew told our CBC radio colleagues that he appreciates all that public health has done, but wishes the rules were just a little more flexible so he could have been there for her final moments.
I was talking to our attending nurse, and I said, you should tell Mom that we love her. And when we got there, the same nurse was on duty. She said, I told your Mom what you said. And I said, what was her response? She said, yes, and I love him too. That was her last sort of cogent, lucid time, and I couldn't avail of that time. Even a day or two earlier, it would have made so much difference.
A funeral service was held on Friday for Pearl Crew in Lewisport, just a day after her death. Those rules were loosened to allow family visits in hospitals.
Well, unfortunately, not a whole lot of snow out there across parts of the province. However, tomorrow, some sunshine in the forecast. Things start to get a little bit unsettled as we head towards the end of the week. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
A friend of mine posted today. Today was the first time he realized that the same guy he was seeing in the bodysuit at Growlers games now was the same person that came to his grade 2 classroom. A lot of people have grown up with Buddy.
And today, a lot of people are remembering him.
After Ashley's weather, we pay tribute to Chris Abbott, the man behind the beloved St. John's mascot.
My name is Alec Millian. I'm the coordinator of the RPM Challenge. The RPM Challenge is a creative challenge to anybody to record music in the month of February. And it's any length, any level of experience, anywhere, any genre, anything you can think of. We first brought the RPM Challenge to Newfoundland in 2008, and we got 22 albums that year, and we thought that was a lot. And then over the years, it's grown and grown to the point where we receive over 100 records from Newfoundland and Labrador every single year. There are people all over the world that are participating, including people in Iran, Qatar, all over Europe, all over the States. To participate, you go to rpmchallenge.com. There's a sign-up form. You can read more about it, and you'll be signed up.
Well, Ashley, I am loving the weather this week. It's just been gorgeous out, great hiking weather. The only thing that would make it a little bit better if there was a nice layer of snow on the ground, because right now it's a bit icy if you're up in the woods, but still just gorgeous out there.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, certainly out there. The lack of snow, not the greatest for the winter, but with these temperatures into the minus single digits and some sunshine, it's certainly enjoyable out there. Let's take a look at where we were sitting this morning. If you were out and about, temperatures not too bad out there the further east you are, but -5 in St. John's this morning. But those temperatures did dip into the minus double digits for Badger, Deer Lake, same thing for Corner Brook around -11, and then up across Labrador as well, those temperatures minus teens as you head towards the southeast, and then the further west you go, that's where all that cold air is locked in. For last night anyway, -39 for Lab City overnight. Now, if we take a look at the daytime highs today, rebounded quite nicely for a good chunk of Labrador, -21 in Lab City, -11 in Mary's Harbour, and then those temperatures into the minus single digits for the island. But St. John's sat around -1 for most of the afternoon. So with that sunshine, certainly felt nice. However, there is a bit of a wind chill this afternoon, and there certainly is right now. Those temperatures are starting to dip down to about -4 in St. John's, feeling more like -11. So if you are planning on heading out tonight, the wind chill values over the next couple of hours will be into the minus teens, especially up across Labrador. Now your temperatures, in fact, for Lab West are going to climb as the day goes, or as the evening rolls through. About -17 by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, but that wind chill, especially towards coastal areas, still feeling into the -20s, even -30s for some areas. Now, taking a look at the future tracker and what's going to happen tonight, not a whole lot on the go, thanks to a ridge of high pressure. Now, there is still the chance of some flurries along the west coast. Same thing for Bonavista North through to Twillingate. You may see a few flurries in the mix over the next couple of hours, but the flurry potential should end, and we should actually see some clearing skies. Now, as we get towards the morning hours, there is a chance that we could see a few flurries for just skirt the northern Avalon. Shouldn't accumulate too much, but that risk is still there. And then flurries, the story for most of Labrador, at least as until we get into the morning hours. So temperatures, it's going to be a cold and breezy night for the east, down to about -10, hence that wind chill, feeling more like the minus teens, and the winds out of the northwest about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. The winds will ease on the west coast and pretty much all along coastal areas of Labrador, except in Lab West, where the winds will shift out of the south, and you're looking at 30 to 50 kilometer per hour winds tonight. Now, as we head through the day tomorrow, that snow will work its way across the big land into the afternoon. And then eventually, after the potential for some morning flurries for the east, lots of sunshine across the island. And then as the day goes on into the evening hours, we'll start to see the increasing cloud on the west coast. And this is when we'll see that potential for some light snow, flurries or light snow through the evening hours into Thursday early morning hours. Now, As far as snowfall amounts go, not a whole lot. We're not talking huge accumulations here, maybe 2 to 5 centimeters at the most up across the Big Land. And as we get into Thursday morning, we may see those similar amounts for the West Coast, particularly in those higher elevations. Now, taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it looks like a beautiful day. The wind's a bit breezy in the morning out of the northwest, about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, and then the winds will actually ease as the day goes on. -2 for St. John's. Again, that chance of some flurries in the morning, then lots of sunshine. Bonavista -2, Marystown looking at a high near -3. Similar forecasts towards central and the south coast as well. Harbour Breton seeing a high near -3 tomorrow. And then again, lots of sunshine to start, but the clouds will be on the increase. The winds will pick up a little bit as well out of the southwest, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour for you on the west coast. Now take a look at what happens in Labrador tomorrow. Temperatures very mild, relatively speaking anyway. -4 in Mary's Harbour with those winds out of the southwest, about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. And then that mild trend continues. Now in the morning, Lab City, you'll be sitting around -17, but then they're going to jump up to the minus single digits. Now things are going to get a bit unsettled as we head towards the end of the week. I'll have those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, you may not know his face, but he's the person behind one of the most beloved characters in this province. Last night, 51-year-old Christopher Abbott passed away. He's been delighting crowds for decades as sports mascot Buddy the Puffin. This afternoon, we spoke with a longtime sports fan about the joy Abbott brought to each game and a longtime friend who knew the man behind the mascot. What did you think when you found out that Christopher Abbott, the man behind Buddy the Puffin for decades, passed away last night?
Floored. I don't think anybody was really expecting that. I mean, he was an institution in the sporting community and in the charitable community. Just such a good representative of the sport. You know, like you said, Carolyn, it's been nearly 30 years. And you don't realize how long it's been. I saw a friend of mine post today that today was the first time he realized that the same guy he was seeing in the buddy suit at Growlers games now was the same person that came to his grade 2 classroom when he was a kid. So yeah, he's a lot of people have grown up with Buddy.
I met Chris in high school back a long time ago. And we maintained a friendship throughout the years, throughout sports and charities, and just him being a great guy. For those who knew him, I think all would agree he was full of life. He was full of positivity. He was just one of those people that once you left his company or you had a chat with him on the phone or even a message, you felt better, you felt good.
Over the years, you know, I've been a season ticket holder at Mile 1 since 2011, and I've had lots of interactions with Buddy. We didn't need games or anything during the intermissions because you watched Buddy, whether he was going around on the Zamboni, balancing on the rails, you know, dancing on the ice.
And all the crazy things he did, walking on the boards and on the ice and hanging off the railings, and it was pure entertainment. He loved it and people loved him for doing it.
Talking to his friends and folks who knew him, you come to realize just how much being in that role and just being able to have the influence that he had meant to him. He really not only loved the game, he loved the fans. He just loved being there and he loved being Buddy. And I think that was evident in everything he did. I think there are a lot of people grieving today who are definitely going to miss the antics of Buddy the Puffin in that arena, and not only in the arena, of course, but outside, because he went to schools, he went to community events, and he was always a huge attraction.
He thoroughly enjoyed helping the community. He really enjoyed making people happy, especially, you know, like kids and stuff like that, of course, who enjoyed Buddy so much. The adults loved Buddy too, but the kids really enjoyed it, and that really made Chris happy. And you know, he was such an optimistic, good person that, you know, he was really driven to be a community person. I think my last conversation I had with him more or less says what Chris is all about. And the conversation was all about being proud to be a Newfoundlander and being proud of our arts and culture and our sports. And You know, with Chris, it was all about being proud of where you're from, proud of your family, proud of your friends, proud of what you do. And I think that's why there's so much shock and disbelief today of the loss of such a good guy. Chris was just a real solid guy.
It's been tougher this time than it was this time last year. We've had zero income since December.
Well, this has been a hard lockdown for the owners of this inn in St. John's. Next, why they're hoping restrictions are going to be eased. The last month of lockdown has been hard for many businesses, especially in the hospitality industry. John and Cindy Pertil run the Georgetown Inn and Tea Room, and for them, business hasn't been good. Thanks so much, both of you, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So give me an idea, what has the last month looked like for you?
Oh, tough. It's been tougher this time than it was this time last year. We've had zero income since December, and every Monday we're with bated breath hoping that we're going to see a lift on restrictions so that we can reopen, and it hasn't happened yet. So this one's been tougher.
And so explain, why have you had no income during this period?
Well, the inn, for instance, we did have some bookings for the inn, but they were from out of province, so we had those cancel. Being so close to Mon, it's been a bonus for us that we've been able to host parents that are bringing their students in January, but obviously that didn't happen this year. We actually had some families that were coming home, year for seeing their family after Christmas, and had that canceled as well. But we also run the Edwardian Tea Room at the Georgetown Inn and have not been able to open the tea room due to people feeling more uncomfortable this time with coming into a smaller space for dining.
So what would you like to see on Thursday when they announce these new changes?
Well, for us, it'll mean income, because we'll be able to open the tea room for Valentine's Day, which is upcoming, and we already have some bookings for Valentine's Day for the inn. So we're hoping that we're not going to have to cancel those. So that's our hope, is that we're going to be able to get back to business.
How much of people's reluctance to go out is because of the lockdown measures that we've had in place, and how much is just people aren't comfortable because we're seeing high levels of case counts, lots of people in hospital, things like that?
Well, I think that the restrictions have led to the uncomfortability of, is that a word? Of people to go out and do what they would normally do. And I understand that. We totally understand that. We too have been uncomfortable. You guys are the first ones that we've really seen since our family at Christmas time. So for us, we understand the uncomfortableness, but I do think that the restrictions led to people feeling uncomfortable, and probably rightly so.
Do you think, though, that when they announce, for example, an alert level change, and we don't know what they're going to announce on Thursday, do you think that'll be enough, though, to make people feel more comfortable?
Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. I think we've learned that we still need to keep certain restrictions in place, like masking and the hand sanitizing and the disinfection process. I think we've learned that can't go away yet, that needs to stay in place. But I think for the most part that we're a very vaccinated province, and hopefully now a boosted province, that I think people are going to start to feel more comfortable with the fact that we are boosted, but with keeping some of those restrictions in place.
You mentioned that this is come home year. What are you thinking the rest of the year is going to look like for you?
We're very positive. We have some great bookings for our inn for the summer, and believe it or not, I already have Mother's Day sold out for the tea room. So we're pretty excited that and very hopeful, actually. We had a meeting this morning with our counterparts in the tourism industry, a Zoom meeting online, and I think that the general feeling is that people are feeling positive. And that with the new boosters in place, and with the country slowly starting to open up, that we're going to see a good tourism summer. We're hopeful.
Well, thanks so much, both of you, for joining me, and good luck.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for having us.
Well, the Winter Olympics kick off in Beijing on Friday, and of course all eyes in this province will be on hometown heroes Team Guizhou as they go for their second Olympic gold. Tonight, the CBC's Colleen Jones brings us an inside look at how organizers are making sure the ice is just right.
With the Olympic mixed doubles beginning here in Beijing on Wednesday, usually the ice is all in and done by now. But after they ran their test event on Monday, Hans Wuthrich, who's the head ice maker here from Canada, Gimli, Manitoba, he was out reflooding the end sheets.
We're going to get it ready tonight and it'll be good.
So you're going to reflood?
Yes, just the outside two sheets.
Sure. Hans is battling the dryness here. The climate in Beijing is dry, the building is dry, so it causes the ice to slowly evaporate. They've brought in more humidifiers to create more moisture.
Okay, so I see all the humidifiers as you try to bring moisture into the air.
Yeah.
Why is that?
That's been our biggest problem. So ever since we kind of finished flooding, it's eaten all our ice up, because right now, today, outside, today by 2 o'clock, it's going to be minus 20 dew point. Like that's about, you can get in Western Canada, like in Regina, you can get minus 22 point. That's less than 10% humidity. So what's happening is it just wants to suck the ice off. It wants to just, it has nowhere else to grab moisture, so it grabs it off the ice. So what's happening is the outside two sheets, the outside of the two sheets, it wants to suck the ice off. So those are our dehumidification and cooling ducts that were installed to actually dehumidify, not humidify. We haven't been using those other than for cooling the building. So they're cooling the building right now, but they're not dehumidifying. So the dehumidifiers are shut off.
It's complicated, to be sure, and he monitors all of this from up here, his ice station perch.
Us all the dew points, temperatures, air temperatures. That gives us all the information to go over here to these computers, and then that's where we adjust what we need to adjust. Ice making has never been easy. It's people think it's easy, but it's not. As you know, like if it's not perfect, you know, it's a conclusion of always trying to find something that you can fix.
Colleen Jones, CBC News, Beijing.
Well, that was interesting, and that's the behind-the-scenes look at curling, but that's not the only first glimpse we're getting of the preparations. This is a rehearsal at the Bird's Nest Stadium where the opening and closing ceremonies will take place. COVID protocols mean it won't be a full house at the opening ceremony. Canada, along with several other countries, is part of a diplomatic boycott of the Games, meaning we won't be sending any federal officials. Now, the Olympics on CBC television means some temporary changes for Here and Now, starting next Monday, February 7th, and then for 2 weeks. Here and Now will be a half-hour program airing at 7:30 in the evening. That's 7 o'clock in most parts of Labrador. We go back to our regular time slot once the Olympics come to an end. The anti-vaccine mandate protest is now into its 5th day in downtown Ottawa, with many wondering how or when it might end. Federal Minister Marco Mendicino says there has been a coordinated effort to ensure public safety as the truck convoy and protesters remain near Parliament Hill. But he spoke about the frustration many city residents have been expressing.
Understanding that there is a right to demonstrate and to express a certain point of view is one thing, but where there are unacceptable incidents and confrontation, etc., those decisions do need to be taken independently by police officers.
He says the RCMP, Parliament Security, and other partners are in constant contact with the Ottawa Police Service, but the matter falls under the city's jurisdiction. While the sound of honking trucks continues, the crowd has thinned significantly from the 8,000 or more protesters reported on Saturday. Some say they won't leave until they can force the federal government to repeal all public health measures. Most of the COVID-19 mandates, including masking, have been put in place by provincial governments.
Well, Quebec says it's not going ahead with its plan to tax people in the province who aren't vaccinated, which it had described as a health contribution. The Premier says the opposition wasn't in favor of it, and the idea divided Quebecers.
Some people against other people, I don't like that. I think, yes, I have to make sure that I protect the health of Quebecers, but I have also to protect the peace in our society.
The Premier says the province has to balance considerations around physical and mental health.
The latest advice on protecting yourself against the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is wear an N95 or KN95 mask. They create a better seal around your face, but there are a lot of questions about the right way to use them. CBC's Michelle Gasuba went to the experts to get some answers.
You've probably noticed more and more people using N95 and KN95 masks. These are respirators that create a seal around your face, providing even more protection against the Omicron variant. If you do choose to wear one of these masks, here's what you need to know about how to wear and care for it.
In the hospital environment and in healthcare environments, we do what's called fit testing. In other words, we verify through a procedure that mask fits your face, that it provides effective enough seal, that the breathing is going through the mask and therefore living up to its efficiency of 95% reduction in the inspiration of particles of a certain size. If it's not fit tested, and particularly people have different shapes and sizes to their face, then the mask is not really meeting that 95% efficiency target.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says that you can still wear these masks even if they haven't been professionally fitted. The trick is to mold it to the shape of your face in order to create a seal. Now, one way of testing how well you did is to blow into the mask. If you can feel air coming out the top, or if your glasses are fogging up, it's a sign that you haven't sealed it properly. Normally these masks are not intended to be worn more than one time, but that advice has now changed because so many people are wearing them so often. And unlike cloth masks, you can't wash them. So after you wear them one time, you should store them somewhere safe for at least a week or hang them up somewhere dry, and no single mask should be used more than 10 times.
A regular surgical mask, for instance, that we tend to use and we see people using, it has a filtration capacity of about 80%. So there's only a marginal improvement in N95s, particularly if they're not fit tested. And I think that's the real challenge.
If you can't get an N95 mask, wearing a normal cloth mask over a medical mask will still provide you with good protection. The most important thing is to find a mask that fits your face well and that you can wear consistently.
Well, we eat the fillet, sometimes the cheeks and tongue, but other valuable parts of fish, crustaceans, and marine plants get tossed out in the harvesting process. Over the next 6 years, researchers and Mi'kmaq leaders in Western Newfoundland will work to determine another use for those scraps.
They're looking to match communities and their infrastructure with products that can be sustainably produced to try and revitalize coastal regions. And they just won a big sum of money to get that started.
Marine biomass is things like rock, seaweed, algae, or it's also byproducts associated with the processing of fish, things like salmon byproducts, the residues associated with shrimp processing, mussel farming. And then you've got things that are unique to Newfoundland and these cold waters like eel and sea urchin. We lose about 30 to 78% of the harvested byproduct that either goes to a landfill or goes into the ocean. And there's lots of valuable byproduct in that. And what that means is coastal communities and remote regions that are actually doing the harvesting are losing out on all this economic benefit. So what we're doing is we're working with our coastal and Indigenous communities, with industry, and then with a really strong group of researchers to produce a product. It could be anything from as a low value biofuel to biomaterials. And then on the very high end, things like functional foods, antioxidants, things that you would use in pharmaceuticals. It's trying to match the products with the region and their infrastructure too, really, because we're trying to grow the region, right? We'd like the process and the producing to be in the region that they're actually harvesting from.
This new trend of all these institutions collaborating with First Nations is a win-win for everybody, because it's using and utilizing Indigenous knowledge, and using the two-eyed seeing way of looking at this, which is important.
Two-eyed seeing has been applied at the getting Indigenous students involved in universities, but it really hasn't been applied to the research.
Two-eyed seeing is looking through an Indigenous worldview of the world around us, as compared to the contemporary, modern, European-based worldview.
So you're taking in the qualities and the really important parts of the Indigenous way of doing things and trying to integrate and work together with some of the research, Western ways of research. So the funding, it's 15.9 million spread out over 6 years. There's 20 odd researchers involved at the higher level in Japan, Ireland, Italy, Australia, and the dominant here is here in Newfoundland. And then we also have partners at Dalhousie and Cape Breton University.
I believe there is about 8 or 9 bands involved in this initiative. And we will be working with the research teams at some point when they come to the communities, and we look forward to that. I think there has always been known by many that there were already Indigenous solutions to a lot of these things before Western society made it a problem, but they weren't listening to Indigenous knowledge to apply it to help them correct it. So I think I see a circles coming around, and that's another part that I like, because they're coming to the communities, they're coming to the people, they're coming to looking at the Indigenous knowledge, and I think that's key to success.
Billions of people around the world are marking the Lunar New Year, and a Quebec artist has carved snow sculptures on his front lawn in honor of the festivities. The CBC's Rowan Kennedy reports his icy creations have become a must-see neighborhood attraction.
Kind of proud.
Xinwan is visiting from Toronto for Chinese New Year. She decided to celebrate by visiting this Kirkland home she had heard about on social media.
It's beautiful sculptures, and it's kind of very special for New Year.
Sweeping across Shufangzhang's lawn are 10 sculptures made of snow. Lions to stand guard and protect the family's home, a dragon, and a tiger, the sign of the incoming Lunar New Year.
This work is not easy, it's very hard.
A painter and a calligrapher by trade, Zhang started carving snow sculptures during the pandemic. Now, every single day, he can be seen on his lawn scraping away. On sunny days like this, he says it's delicate work.
I have to repair it every day. The snow sculpture is very interesting. The sculpture is changing every day. So the beautiful is different. Every day is different.
And now he's getting new opportunities to create his sculptures. On Sunday, Zhang spent all day carving this piece outside of a senior's residence.
Many people have seen my snow sculpture. They put smiles on their face. I'm very happy.
There's a tiger over there. That's super cool. Like, I really don't understand how long it must have taken them to do that. It's incredible. And the Komodo dragon with so much detail, which is what I find really, really great.
Beautiful, you know, and I thought, oh, I have to tell my husband to come see, and I'm gonna want to get my kid to come look also.
And we want the kids sort of get they don't forget Chinese traditional cultures even when they're in Canada.
Xinwan says the makeshift exhibit helps residents in the area understand Chinese culture so they can all celebrate the new year together. Rowan Kennedy, CBC News, Kirkland.
This weather update is brought to you by the NL 511 app. Know before you go. Check road conditions, highway cameras, and the provincial plow tracker with the NL 511 app.
Ashley's back with the long range, and you mentioned a bit earlier that we have some unsettled weather on the way.
Yes, it looks like we've got a cold front that's going to move through. There's a lot of uncertainty with just what's going to happen with this system. But let's take a look at what some of the models are pointing at. It does look like Thursday is when things will start to get a little bit unsettled. Wednesday evening into Thursday as that front moves through. Now, temperatures are likely going to climb up above zero as well. So we'll likely see a transition through to rain at some point, either Thursday evening or overnight into Friday morning. See, there's your temperatures, 2 to 4 degrees. Lots of uncertainty, like I said, with this one. But as we head into Thursday evening, overnight into Friday, this is when we'll start to see that potential for snow. And some of this could be heavy at times. Now, if we see some snow, there is a potential we could even see some snow across the Avalon as well. That's where the disagreement comes through. But at this point, the system, if it does, cold front does move through, will be Friday afternoon when we see that transition back to snow across the Avalon and continue potentially even into Saturday. So this one will be a long event, but as you can see there, temperatures below zero Friday for the rest of the island, except across the Avalon, well, mainly eastern Newfoundland, as we see those temperatures up above zero. So definitely stay tuned for that one. Labrador, you're gonna sit this one out again, sunshine, and return to those colder temperatures as we get into Friday. Now, Saturday, still have that temperature at this point above zero, but temperatures dip dramatically as we head through Saturday night, down to the minus double digits. And then Sunday, looking like we should see some clearing skies and those temperatures into the minus single digits. Now, for central and western Newfoundland, we're gonna see a similar forecast as far as that snow goes at this point. After Thursday, keeping your temperatures below zero, and this is where we could see some of that accumulating snow. And then into Sunday, clearing skies, except for the west, where you'll see more flurries. Now for eastern Labrador, nice Friday, Saturday, maybe a few flurries, and then Sunday looking nice as well. And those temperatures will stay after that warm up tomorrow into the minus 20s for Lab West. But at this point, looking like sunshine. Now, great conditions for an evening skate in Cobb's Arm. Jenny shared this great shot of her two daughters. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh,
so
love
nice.
a nice sunset.
Yeah. Wonder how much longer they were able to play before it got dark.
And then
it
before
was
it
a lot
got
of fun.
rainy. That's
Yeah.
that's been the problem. You get a nice bit of cold weather and then a bit of rain comes on top. And
then ice.
yeah, which there, ice isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, people in this province know all about high winds, but we want to show you something.
Yes, this is one very scary moment for those on board a British Airways flight yesterday as it attempted to land in London, but the winds did not make that easy.
Easy, 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 easy! Oh my God!
I caught it on the first bounce. This plane traveling from Scotland aborted a landing at the runway at London's Heathrow Airport. Extreme winds were to blame. And just look, you can see those powerful gusts as it slams, there we go, as it slams the plane, touching down for a brief moment. The aircraft swayed from side to side and then tilted before they were able to abort that and take off again.
Wow, I bet a lot of people holding their breath on that flight. Now, the pilot did manage to steady the aircraft before taking off again for another landing attempt, and the next landing attempt was successful, so that's good.
It's one that counts.
Yes. So that's it for us this evening. We're counting down, I guess, for Thursday is going to be a big day, Peter, when we find out what the alert level change will be in the province.
Yeah, so they're going to announce on Thursday some sort of loosening of restrictions. We don't yet know how much it's going to be. We know it's not going to be all restrictions. They've already given us a warning that it's going to be sort of a slow and gradual process. But we'll see an announcement on Thursday coming into effect the following Monday. So giving especially businesses that may have been shut down a little bit of time, if they're going to be opened up, to know exactly what's in store.
All right, well, that's all the time we have this evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
Have a good night, everyone.